We're ready for another surf report. This one for December 5th through the 11th, 2024. I've dubbed it Let's Freaking Go. It is some massive go energy. I cannot wait to show you all these alignments. And before we get started, let me get this set up. All right, here is the influence chart. We're going to do this again for the solution so that you know how best to act and behave in order to maximize your success. But first, what's it going to feel like? This is the influence chart. I have 3 circles. The triangle here is representative of the Grand Fire Trine. The astrology is represented by the purple. And we have the sun in Sagittarius. We have a first quarter moon. So both of those together are go. We have Mars station and retrograde, but the station is several days long, and during that station, Mars is go. Not that retrograde isn't go, but we'll get into that. We have a Neptune station going direct. That's supportive. We have a T-square on Saturn. We have a Mercury cazimi. We have Venus moving into Aquarius, and we have a Grand Fire trine. Is that enough for you? The Dreambot says math numbers. It's obsessed with like statistics and speculation. It's a perfect match to where my mind has been in the past week. And also we look at mental experiences with the Dreambot. Looking forward to showing you that. And then we have, no surprise at all. The I-Ching says great vigor. There's no change lines in this. And so our influence and solution I-Ching are the same, 34, great vigor. So let's get started. And we have a really cool tie with CJ Star Monkey 73, and not for me to say. Both of you tied, and I didn't want to do a tiebreaker because there is something special about CJ Star had multiple comments with the same amount of likes. So that's special. That's never happened before. And then not for me to say had 1 comment and 1 reply, both with the same number of likes. And so that's never happened before. So shout out to both of you. Thank you for keeping our channel active. And thank you all for commenting. Fabulous. And it does help our channel. Thank you. Helps our tribe. Here's the Dreambot. Number 1 word. These words really surged from December on up. The number 1 word is numbers. And number 2 word is lottery. And I was looking at the history of lottery, and it's never, this is the first time this word has ever spiked, really, in the history of the Dreambot. So very special here. And just the flavor of this, and when I connect all the red arrows together, it really signifies like it has a crypto kind of feel to me. Me personally interpreting this, some people are calling these cryptos as sort of like the lottery, it's just speculation and chance, and some of you will hit it big and make millions. That's what people are talking about, and so it's in the collective mind. As the old disintegrates, the new pops open. In the age of Aquarius, sort of makes sense. But anyway, then we have the green arrows is all about mind and experience. So mental experiences all the way through here. It's a lot, and it's includes it goes places, and so what I have here is, we might get into the psychology of all this, but where mind goes, body follows. That's the green arrows, and I'll explain that a little bit later when we get to that point in the solution slide. All right, let's start with our overviews. We're in between new moon in Sagittarius was last surf report, and then next surf report we'll have a full moon in Gemini. We're in a big energy window called the Celestial Bonfire and Cosmic Awakening. Are you guys seeing that happening? Are you feeling the bonfire? Are you seeing more and more people coming to the bonfire. There's going to be our third of 3 grand fire trines this week. Restarting. All right. I like this chart. There's a lot I can say about it, but I'd really like to focus on this one because this is really unusual. I'm taking the words of the I-Ching, great vigor, and this is the line that represents like massive motivation, forward energy, yang type energy. All right. And it includes direction and it includes guidance as well. So at the start, we have a T-square on Saturn that goes all week. We have Mars station that goes for a few days. And these are energies that are adding to this great vigor or synergizing together. And Mars is in Leo, so that's also important. We also have Mercury cazimi in Sagittarius. That means Sun and Mercury together, and that's just boosting this great vigor already because it's all in these fire signs. But the first quarter moon does that as well. We have the grand fire trine that starts on between Sunday and Monday there, and then Neptune goes direct from the retrograde. So this brings in like a guidance. And then Venus opposed Mars, and there's others as well, but just a lot. So let's get started day by day. Thursday the 5th. All right, what's happening here? What I like to do at the start of our CIRF weeks is always on Thursday, at least for now. I like to start with the most powerful energy. In most charts, it's going to be the sun. Well, also in natal charts, we'll look at the ascendant, but the ascendant is not appropriate for an all-day chart. So we're looking at the sun is in Sagittarius. That's fire energy. Number 2, we have the moon. The moon is in waxing crescent. And so that's a motivating get up. So let's get off the couch. Let's get off of our planning and start doing that. This is just the moon in its phase alone. Then we have the pressure of the T-square, and you can see that's over to Jupiter and Mercury cazimi. Number 3, we have Mars station, and this is what we're going to spend most of our time on today's energy, is what does Mars station in Leo mean? And then we have at this time, 8:17 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday the 5th is Mercury cazimi, but it's kind of a question mark. It's is it really cazimi? Well, yes. In azimuth, these are exactly together. Some people consider cazimi when Mercury is in the heart of the sun or within a 1-degree orb. And the technical folks also use 17 minutes, so even closer. And in this case, Mercury is in a retrograde, so it's moving like this. However, what I also do is look at the inclination, and there are quite a few of these that are parallel with each other and contraparallel. We talked about this last week. It's very unusual to have this many. The parallels bring in an intensity, and the contraparallels, or the planets in the opposite inclination, exact opposite, represent conflict. And so because we have a long list here, it just brings an extra intensity to our chart, to all the other energies. But if we don't see Mercury and Sun together in any of these parallels, we need to see, for a pure, in my opinion, to be extremely technical, I need to see Mercury and Sun as they come together in azimuth, also in parallel. And that would put it within 1 degree of each other in inclination. Well, we don't have that. And so I am not considering this a technical Mercury cazimi, but I'd like for you to test this out. And the unfortunate part here is you're going to have a hard time doing that because Mercury is in detriment in Sagittarius. Jupiter also detriment in Gemini, and they're opposing each other to create this T-square. So anyway, with that, let's move over to Mars station, and we'll talk about the T-square in the follow-on days. Mars station in Leo is the radiant hero. We've seen this before in our energy window discussion, but this heroic figure confidently steps into the spotlight, ready to overcome challenges and to fight for noble causes. We've seen that hero in other energies, the Grand Fire Trines being one of them. But we also, you need to consider, it's not all that strong right now, but Mars opposed Pluto is here. And Pluto is in Aquarius, Mars is in Leo, so they're opposing each other. The whole point about Mars station, I forgot to mention, is that apparent to Earth, this Mars is stagnant. It's not moving direct or in retrograde. It's just staying right there at 6 degrees, 10 minutes. In our few days of Mars station, you're going to see it move and like tick down to 9 minutes. But in all intents and purposes, it stays at exactly the same degrees and minutes. Right? And because it does that, those packets aren't moving and they're stagnant, and it's just shining theoretically more of that energy onto us. So you're going to get more than normal Mars from a Leo perspective. But the opposition to Pluto brings the awakened warrior, courageously confronts your own shadow while challenging oppressive societal structures. That's the Pluto in Aquarius. They wield the transformative power of creative destruction, dismantling the old paradigms to pave the way for evolutionary breakthroughs. And this, put this into the back of your mind. This is a key component for what we're going to talk about in the solutions. Basically, we need to, regardless if you absolutely influence others this week, especially from this Mars station in Leo, that is not the point. The point is to lead yourself. And if it happens to influence others, then so be it. But focus on leading yourself first. And that includes influencing, but it doesn't guarantee it. All right. One little word here on the Sun and Mercury is the pilgrim. Because we're in Sagittarius, it's a time of philosophical introspection where one's beliefs and perceptions are re-examined. Re-examined because Mercury is in retrograde, and it's encouraging us for a deep exploration of personal truths. And therefore it creates the pilgrim with a compass, embarking on an inner quest for meaning and purpose. The adventurer's compass, the explorer. All right. Now, speaking of exploring, it would be nice to have some sort of internal guidance system, right? Well, there you go. Neptune goes station from retrograde. So it's slowing to 27 degrees, 8 minutes, and it's going to stay there for a few days. Here's the timeline for Neptune station. It starts here at 1:59 a.m. Central Standard Time at 27 degrees, 8 minutes of Pisces. And on 9 December, so that'd be Monday at 8:50 a.m., it's going to be direct. So Neptune stationing in Pisces amplifies the planet's mystical, intuitive, and compassionate qualities. It's a deep time of spiritual awakening, heightened imagination, dissolving of boundaries. It really invites us to surrender to the flow of life, to trust in our inner guidance system, and embrace the interconnectedness of all beings. So, although this is a very subtle planet, the same thing applies to this Neptune station, meaning it's going to be stagnant there. And it's going to be very subtle, but you're going to get this more connected to the internal guidance system. So very important there. And we're going to be guided through dreams, through intuition, through interconnectedness interconnectedness to others, can show you how social time or being in other people's energy fields can actually help you tune into your own guidance system. Fascinating stuff. All right, ready for the T-square on Saturn? Because it includes the Jupiter and Mercury retrogrades. Both of those are retrograde. Both of them are in each other's home sign. And both of them are therefore in detriment. Okay, and they were exact I think it was last CIRF week, and we're kind of taking a break this week, but you're going to see because Mercury went exact when it was direct, exact opposite when it was direct, but now that it's turned retrograde, is going to go exact again. I think it's next CIRF report, but don't quote me on that. All right, T-square on Saturn. The alignment represents a complex interplay of energies that challenges the mind to expand, adapt, and evolve. It's a very, very mental space. It's also the mental exploration that, in my opinion, the Dreambot was talking about. It's a mental experience. Mercury and Sun in Sag emphasize the need for philosophical introspection and the re-examination of beliefs and perceptions. The opposition to Jupiter retrograde adds a layer of intellectual complexity and the need for mental flexibility. And the squares to Saturn then bring in the themes of structure, boundaries, and the pursuit of wisdom. And amidst uncertainty, this is a very potentially confusing exploration in this T-square, and that's why this Neptune is so freaking valuable. But you have to be very, very aware to pull that into your experience, and I want to hammer that home because that's an important part of our CIRF week. Overall, this T-square alignment invites us to engage in deep intellectual exploration, navigate paradoxes and contradictions, and cultivate a more nuanced understanding of ourselves and the world around us. So, a lot of potential there for mental space. And then, now we are looking at Venus. Venus is the star of Saturday the 7th. And because she is moving out of Capricorn, going into Aquarius. And just that alone, obviously there's a Pluto right there. But just look right for now, just at Venus in Aquarius. It marks a shift towards unconventional and innovative approaches to love, relationships, and personal values. It's a time of embracing eccentricity and originality as the partnership seeks to break free from traditional norms and expectations. You also have, this is an important part of Venus in Aquarius, is this emotional detachment. Can be extreme, which is unhealthy, but if it's in a balanced way, Venus in Aquarius can bring about the importance of independence being important qualities in the relationship, as love is expressed through respect for personal freedom and autonomy. That's a very important thing to recognize, that, if that's misread by a lot of people, if it's misread by water signs, for example, it can really be resentful for Venus in Aquarius in someone else, because they see love as letting them be free. We just uncovered a client's been in therapy for quite some time, and finally got to the point of figuring out where massive hurt and anger, outrage were coming from. And it was basically this archetype. Parents very much showed their love through freedom and autonomy as a child. And so how did his mind interpret that? Interpret it as, they don't care. Nobody cares about me. And that's the risk that's the downside of Venus in Aquarius. But it does have this free will. The gifts are free will, freedom, autonomy, respect for boundaries, and not getting bent out of shape when someone else has an emotion. There's a lot of fruits. But that was just the Venus in Aquarius. Obviously, Venus gets a face full of Pluto at 0 degrees 22 minutes, right as she enters into Aquarius. So Venus conjunct Pluto and Venus parallel Pluto, meaning that they're in the same inclination, brings an intensity. So this is already intense. Pluto, part of Pluto's archetype is intensity. So you already have an intense relationship that values those things we just talked about. But now it's even more intense because of the parallel. Wow, this is really going to be powerful. It's going to be the Phoenix rising as one of the potential archetypes. You have the mad scientist in love. You also have a strong transformative or evolutionary catalyst. But nonetheless, intense transformation, renewal of values, relationships, creative expression, and just general interpersonal stuff. It's a powerful attraction for authentic connections, free will, and mental prowess. So you might have a rebirth and transformation of old relational patterns, or a radically new way of interpersonal dynamics. Or you might have unconventional just romance. That's kind of just the bare basics, and a very strong one at that. And an evolutionary catalyst would be a fearlessly challenging outdated structures to liberate and empower humanity. And because we're talking about Venus, one of the things we haven't talked about is like balance and also peace and harmony in a very weird way. We can get it in a weird way because Venus is in Aquarius. Venus is conjunct with Pluto and parallel. Wow, there's a lot. We're only halfway through the week. All right, Sunday the 8th. Enter stage left, the Grand Fire Trine. So we have Mars. Let's go. I'm going to go chronological order on Sunday the 8th. We have 3 big things happening. Number 1, at 8:09 a.m., this is the chart for this, is Venus at 6 degrees 9 minutes. Remember us talking about the minutes? It ticked down 1 minute, but basically it was the same azimuth in Leo. So Mars is starting its retrograde. This is when Mars officially goes retrograde, full retrograde, at 8:09 a.m. Number 2, then we have the first quarter moon. That's a big milestone for the lunar phase. And that's in Pisces. And it's first quarter moon, so we're going to have, by definition, a square over to the sun. That happens at 9:26 a.m. And then in the afternoon at 4:12, this is where Mercury steps back far enough in retrograde to be in orb with North Node. So Mercury retrograde, North Node, and Mars retrograde. By the way, North Node is in retrograde. It's a normal state. It's not always in retrograde, but normally it is. And so every one of these players, Grand Fire Trine, is in retrograde. So there's this review kind of thing here. But the Grand Fire Trine ignites a profound sense of purpose and vitality because it's a fire trine. It's vitality. It's go energy. It's very yang. The intrepid seeker is called to courageously embody their most authentic self. That's like North Node. And passionately pursuing wisdom and understanding. The path forward shimmers with promises of hope, lots of direction, purpose, and confidence. It does bring in the past. It's a reviewing of the past, but with the North Node is giving you a purpose, a direction, a life purpose. Oh boy. Here we go again. There's problems with OneNote. Here's your picture. I'm having a hard time pulling it up, but It's your intrepid seeker. That's the grand fire trine. All right, now on Monday the 9th, the big news here is that Neptune goes direct. Neptune is officially direct at 8:50 a.m. Central Standard Time on Monday the 9th. And so your inner guidance system is still there, but profoundly more direct, more not so past oriented. So dreams are going to be more current in a way. All right, now we also get, with this chart, the moon is over the north node, and so we happen to get a representation of the grand fire trine. So it's beautiful, and it's there, and it's going to stay there for quite some time, since all three of those players are in retrograde. All right, on Tuesday the 10th, Venus and Pluto, and they're no longer parallel with each other, but they are still conjunct, 4 degrees orb, opposing Mars retrograde in Leo. Now what we have is Mars contraparallel, opposite end of the continuum or inclination, Mars. Venus contraparallel Mars. What that means is they're extra conflicted. They're already conflicted with the opposition. Venus is in a kind of power struggle with Pluto, or brings in a very, very, very powerful energy to the relationship. Powerfully wants people to just get along, harmonize, and sees the value in free will. But an intense confrontation between Venus and Mars, the desire for radical change in relationships and transformation, versus the egoic drive to maintain control and assert individual will. We want free will versus I want to lead you. There's a conflict between progressive values, it's up here, and personal pride, calling for a transformative reconciliation. There must be a reconciliation between these two. This is going to create a struggle within us. But they are powerful, very powerful peace instruments versus the animated and loud warrior. It's a clash of the titans right here. The revolutionary versus the tyrant. And then on Wednesday, just sort of a summary. We kind of close with the same checklist. Sun in Sagittarius now. We have the moon is past its first quarter status, so waxing gibbous now. And this is the most powerful week of getting stuff done according to the lunar chart. And then we have Venus and Mars in that opposition that we just delineated, getting even stronger. And we have kind of that pause in the mental exploration. It's right at the edge of an orb of opposition, Mercury and Jupiter, technically still in an opposition, and that will go exact, I believe, next CIRF report. All right, that is it for the week from the astrology standpoint. So is it any... Oh boy. Sorry about that. I had to pause the video. Is it any surprise that we have hexagram 34 for the I-Ching? Great vigor. There is strength and vigor in this situation, like that of a ram that knocks down a fence to free himself from captivity. This points to a time when a strong force comes into its own power and asserts it. So you get a sense of a great inner strength and vigor, awareness of needing to restrain one's power and influence, feeling of responsibility to use strength righteously, confidence tempered by caution, recognition of one's impact on others. So this is that influence thing from the Pluto, and we're going to get into this in the solution. Sense of being at a peak of personal power. All right, let's finish. Let's summarize. Let's summarize the influence, and we have the chart. We have the tiger on the prowl. That's mainly the Mars in Leo. But it's an important one because all these influences synergize. Mars station in Leo, Grand Fire trine, that includes the Mars. It also includes Mercury in Sagittarius, Sun in Sagittarius with a first quarter moon. Ready, set, go. Let's freaking go. This is also synergized by many other shifts happening this week that we all talked about. Expect heightened inner strength, motivating energy, and a beefy and gritty resolve. Also expect to get an obvious spotlight on power and influence, both internally within yourself, and make sure you look around and see it in all the others. There are going to be sparkling creators everywhere. But don't get frozen by all the external power and influences, because the inner guidance system and righteous wisdom are right there at your fingertips. Great vigor with strong direction. Let's freaking go. All right, let's get back to our solution. Here's the solution. Remember, we're still using 34 because there was no change lines. So the behaviors associated with 34 are act with strength, but exercise deliberate restraint. Like a ram who knows its power, but doesn't constantly charge. You only use it when you need it, right? It's not just an endless amount of yang for you to just haphazardly use. Show force only when truly necessary. Maintain momentum, but avoid rash actions. Be like thunder, powerful, but not endless. Don't use your full strength in every situation. Choose your battles. Be aware of how your power affects others. Lead by example. Maintain alertness. Focus on righteous action. All right, this is an interesting chart. The great vigor. I mean, we showed you in that one chart the kind of the sideways amount of power all week as it was distributed each day. How each one of these aspects that we talked about adds up to the great vigor, but I think the biggest one was the Mars station. And I'm going to go ahead and convert that for you, and that's what we're going to focus in on. But for your edification, I know some of you are probably going to think of Mercury Cazimi in Sagittarius as a big marker for great vigor, especially with Sagittarius. Some of you might think of the Grand Fire trine. Well, both of those are from Mars and Mercury, so that's a match. So I got two. Basically, I'm going to convert two of these for you. Mars went to 31, gate 31 in the Rave Mandala and Sidereal Cancer. And Mercury Cazimi at 14 degrees, 27 minutes of tropical Sagittarius ends up in Rave hexagram 5. And we'll look at that as well, just for your edification. The main one is the Mars in Leo, is 31, gate 31, line 5, self-righteousness. Lack of external influence guaranteed by attitude. What does that mean? All right. A natural specialization that only develops in isolation. However, when the development is complete, the extremely difficult and generally impossible task of externalizing that influence. A specialization that demands that one leads oneself. So basically what it's saying is you need to not worry about the influence that you wield, even though you probably feel it this week. You can feel the potential. The Rave says, I wouldn't. And that's pretty smart. I mean, cosmically, the Mars station just happens to be right on that line that says, hey, just lead yourself. You're going to feel like you're going to influence a bunch of other people, but just worry about yourself. Just do you. And if it ends up influencing, fine. Now, as an aside, this is an extra credit thing, just in case for those of you who are interested. This is the Mercury Cazimi. It went into hexagram 5 of the Rave and line 4. It's the hunter. waiting as a guarantee of survival, the creative genius to transform the most passive experience into active achievement, the power to make the best of one's fixed rhythm. So I think those two are very synergistic together. Those two lines is basically is, go. You don't just go and lead and dominate. It's got to be pick your battles, and so that's going to be based on your fixed rhythm. So mind is here. That's Mercury is on this line when it gets into the heart of the sun. So I think that's cool. They're not contradictory whatsoever. All right, here's the the solution. Remember, we had the hexagram 34, great vigor. We had the rave mandala 31, line 5, self-righteousness, just lead yourself. Sidereal Cancer, and the first quarter moon. There's not a lot holding us back this week. If there's anything holding you back this week, it will probably indicate that you have a mental block. And you can probably say, no, but really, this thing that it's stopping. Well, it's an interpretation problem then. That's what I'm proposing. I obviously don't know everybody's individual situation, so you might be an exception. But the I-Ching says, go forth like thunder. That's why I have a train represented here. And the first quarter moon directly confirms it. First quarter moon is, it's time to go. Get up and go. Move. Get towards your lunar goals. The special nuances are just as important, though. Sidereal Cancer means that you should act upon that which you deeply care about. Cancer is caring. Act maternally towards your project ideas and actively protect them from any threats. That's all Cancer. And from the rave, 31, line 5, you should work towards generating an attitude that maintains outward influence, even though your intention shouldn't be to influence. But the attitude is there. While it also limits being influenced, this is the special thing about the rave 31.5, is that it limits as you go out into the world. It's like puts a bubble on you that's a one-way direction. You can influence without being influenced. Thank you, Venus in Aquarius. Therefore, your focus is on leading yourself and seeing yourself as the creator. I have a little advice here about victim-based thoughts. These are part of your limitations that we talked about before. Watch out for victim-based thoughts. And here's an example of one of them. I have to, or I can't. I can't do that. I have to pay my taxes. And did you realize that that is a victim statement? You're a victim of it. Don't be a victim. Choose, but choose based on your values. I want to maintain my freedom, so I'm going to pay my taxes. I can't guarantee that I'm going to keep doing that, but right now I'm choosing that value. And so I maintain my choice, even though I've told myself I have to. And by the way, I do need to send in my tax contribution. So watch out for victim-based thoughts or beliefs that are festering in your mind. Anytime you hear I can't or I have to, that's just one of the many. How about reconsider and make your choice? That's how you become a creator, as you maintain your choice in all of the actions that you have throughout the day. Also should be reducing your escapism, but that's another discussion. Never give your power away, but also never abuse your own power at any time. Make sense? You have any questions there? You want a plant of the week? We're going to focus on, with all this go energy, this let's freaking go energy, I thought it would be appropriate to bring in the The Neptune. Why am I not seeing Neptune anywhere on here? Well, anyway, Blue Lotus, known for its calming and slightly euphoric effects, Blue Lotus tea can be used to enhance meditation and dreams. Remember, Neptune was our inner guidance system. Well, you're enhancing that connection to Neptune station and direct. It's called the Flower of Enlightenment. Blue Lotus can connect us with higher light codes and information available to us from the sun. Let the light illuminate through the mud, fixing the soil for growth and rebirth. Purify and enhance the third eye and crown chakras with this enlightenment. And this was brought to you by Sean Elizabeth Nelson. So let's thank her for the plant of the week. All right, here's your summary chart. You get the influence up on top, and you have the solution down on the bottom. Take a snapshot of that if you'd like, and let me know how it goes for you. All right. Hopefully, these tools will help you navigate the upcoming week. I appreciate all of your support here at the National Dream Center on these CIRF reports. Take care of yourself. Namaste, everybody.